The foundation of thinking big. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to rise effortlessly while others remain stuck, trapped by their own limitations? The truth is, success rarely begins with action. It begins with thought. Earl Nightingale once said, "We become what we think about most of the time." That single sentence, simple yet profound, contains the blueprint to a fulfilled life. Most of us live our days on autopilot, reacting instead of creating. We let our circumstances dictate our attitude instead of using our attitude to change our circumstances. But those who truly live better, who build, lead, and inspire, understand something vital. Your world expands only when your thinking expands. Earl called this the law of mind. He explained that the quality of our life mirrors the quality of our thoughts. If we think small, we live small. If we think fear, we live fear. But when we think big, truly big, our mind begins to attract new ideas, people, and opportunities aligned with that expanded vision. Imagine your mind as a fertile field. What you plant there, whether seeds of hope or seeds of doubt, will always return to you multiplied. The question is, what are you planting? Thinking big isn't about dreaming unrealistic fantasies. It's about seeing yourself and the world with greater possibilities. It's about understanding that limits are often illusions created by fear and repetition. Every time you say, "I can't," your mind believes it. Every time you say, "I can," your mind begins searching for ways to make it real. Earl Nightingale believed that the mind is like a guided missile. It moves automatically toward the goals you program into it. But if you give it no clear target, it wanders aimlessly, hitting nothing. So many people live their entire lives without ever defining what they truly want. They wait for luck or timing or someone else's approval. But thinking big requires courage, the courage to define your own dream. Let's make something clear. Thinking big doesn't just change what you achieve, it changes who you become. When you begin to stretch your imagination, to visualize a version of yourself that is stronger, calmer, and more capable than you've ever been, something powerful happens. You awaken your inner potential. Every invention, every company, every life-changing movement started as a single thought in someone's mind. The Wright brothers thought big enough to challenge gravity. Martin Luther King Jr. thought big enough to challenge history. Earl Nightingale thought big enough to change the way millions of people think about themselves. And you have that same power. The tragedy is that most people don't believe they do. They underestimate the power of their own thoughts. They allow negative voices, both external and internal, to convince them that average is all they can be. But here's the truth Nightingale taught. Mediocrity is a choice, not a destiny. You are never limited by your circumstances, only by your imagination. So pause for a moment and ask yourself, what do I really want from life? Not what others expect from me, not what seems safe. What do I truly want? Write it down, picture it vividly, because the moment you commit it to thought, you've already taken the first step towards making it real. Earl often said that the greatest discovery of any generation is that human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitudes of mind. You don't need more luck, more money, or more connections. You need a new level of thinking, because big results require big thoughts first. From this moment on, refuse to think small. Every time you catch yourself doubting your potential, remember, small thinking creates small lives. Big thinking creates fulfilled lives. This is the foundation of the Nightingale Path. Your life will always follow the direction of your dominant thoughts. So, as we move deeper into this journey, remember, thinking big isn't arrogance. It's self-belief in action. It's deciding that your dreams are worth more than your fears. Because when you think big, you don't just live better, you become better. There's a quiet moment in everyone's life when we look around and realize that the world we live in is the one we've built through our own thoughts. Not fate, not chance, but thought. Earl Nightingale called this moment the awakening. It's when you begin to see that your limits are not walls, but mirrors, reflecting back what you believe to be true about yourself. Most people never experience this awakening. They live confined inside invisible boundaries, boundaries created by fear, doubt, and habit. These mental fences are stronger than steel. They tell you, stay where you are, don't risk, don't dream too big. But the truth is, every boundary that keeps you small exists only in your mind. Earl once said, your world is a living expression of how you are using your mind. If you think small, you build a small world. If you think fear, you attract fear. But when you think growth, when you decide to see possibility instead of limitation, your world expands to meet your new vision. This shift is not about pretending challenges don't exist. It's about learning to see beyond them. It's about choosing faith over fear, vision over victimhood. And it starts with a single decision: to stop believing in limitation. Imagine you're holding a small cup beneath a waterfall. The water is endless, pure opportunity flowing constantly. But your results depend on the size of your cup, your capacity to receive. Thinking small is like holding that tiny cup and wondering why life gives you so little. Thinking big is trading that cup for a barrel, expanding your capacity to receive, create, and give. The waterfall doesn't change, you do. Earl Nightingale used to say, whatever we plant in our subconscious mind and nourish with repetition and emotion will one day become reality. So what are you nourishing? Are you feeding yourself thoughts of possibility? Or are you repeating the same doubts that have held you back for years? Every successful person you admire, from great leaders to entrepreneurs to thinkers, has experienced this shift. They stopped asking, can I, and started asking, how can I? That's the Nightingale mindset, a shift from limitation to expansion. This mindset teaches you to treat every failure not as proof of your limits, but as feedback, data from life itself guiding you toward mastery. Most people quit too early because they see failure as final. But thinkers, big thinkers, see failure as refinement. They learn, they adjust, they grow. Let me tell you a story. In the early 1950s, a young salesman named Earl Nightingale began studying the success habits of top performers. He noticed something strange. Almost none of them talked about luck. They talked about mindset, belief, purpose, and persistence. And from those observations, he created The Strangest Secret, a recording that would sell millions of copies and transform lives across the world. His message was simple. We become what we think about. Not we get lucky. Not we wait and hope. We become. That single statement changed the trajectory of self-development forever. Because once you truly accept that truth, limitation loses its power over you. You begin to understand that you are not your circumstances. You are your choices, your thoughts, your patterns of belief. And here's something powerful. Your mind doesn't resist growth. It craves it. The human brain is wired for expansion. It wants new challenges, new visions, new ideas. That's why when you think big, you feel alive, energized, hopeful. You're feeding your mind what it was designed to crave: progress. But here's the catch. The world will test that mindset. People who think small will question your ambition. They'll tell you you're unrealistic. They'll try to drag you back to their level because your growth reminds them of their stagnation. That's okay. Earl used to say, if you're on the right track, you'll know it because you'll be surrounded by people trying to pull you back. So keep going. Keep expanding. Because every time you break a mental barrier, you're rewriting the code that defines your reality. The journey from limitation to expansion begins with awareness, but is sustained by consistency. You have to feed your mind daily with new thoughts, uplifting words, positive action. Just like muscles need resistance to grow, your mindset needs repetition to evolve. You can't think big once and expect lasting change. You have to live big thinking every single day. Every morning when you wake up, remind yourself, I am not a victim of circumstance. I am the architect of my destiny. That's not ego. That's ownership. And ownership is the first step toward true freedom. The moment you stop blaming and start believing, you step into the world of big thinkers. A world where life bends to vision, not vice versa. This is the Nightingale mindset. A shift that starts within but changes everything around you. When you expand your thoughts, you expand your life. And when you expand your life, you become a source of expansion for others. Building a life around purpose and vision. Once a person begins to think big, to step out of limitation, the next question naturally rises, what now? What do I do with this new power? And Earl Nightingale's answer was always the same. Find your purpose. Build your life around it. Because without purpose, even success feels empty. But with purpose, even struggle feels meaningful. There's a story Earl loved to tell about a ship without a destination. If a ship leaves the harbor with no chart, no plan, no direction, the odds of it reaching any destination are almost zero. It will drift endlessly, pushed by tides, blown by the wind, lost at sea. But give that same ship a captain, a map, and a goal, and it will reach its port every single time. Most people live like that first ship, drifting. They wake up, go to work, repeat their routines, but deep down they feel something missing. They've built a life around activity, not around purpose. They confuse motion with meaning. Earl once said, people with goals succeed because they know where they're going. It sounds simple, but it's one of life's most profound truths. When you know where you're going, your energy, your time, your emotions, everything aligns. Purpose brings direction. Direction brings focus. And focus brings progress. Think about it. When you have a clear purpose, your life stops being random. You stop chasing distractions because you found something worth dedicating yourself to. You stop comparing your path to others because your mission is uniquely yours. This is what Earl Nightingale meant by living intentionally. He believed that a person's greatest power lies in the ability to decide what they want and commit to it completely. Purpose isn't something you find on the outside. It's something you uncover from within. It's already there, waiting under layers of noise, fear, and conditioning. To discover it, you must ask yourself 3 questions. What do I truly love doing? Not what impresses others, but what fulfills me. What am I naturally good at? The talents that come effortlessly. And how can I use those gifts to make life better for others? When your answers align, love, skill, and service, you find purpose. And when purpose takes root, it gives birth to vision. Vision is purpose in motion. It's the ability to see a future that doesn't exist yet and then work daily to bring it into reality. Earl Nightingale called vision the invisible blueprint of success. He said, all you need is the plan, the roadmap, and the courage to press on to your destination. People with vision move differently. They talk differently. They think in terms of how can I instead of I can't. They wake up with a mission, and even when the world doubts them, their inner compass stays steady. But here's the truth. Vision alone isn't enough. You must pair it with discipline. Without discipline, vision is only a dream. But with discipline, vision becomes destiny. Earl's life was proof of this principle. Before becoming a legend of personal development, he spent years working ordinary jobs, radio announcer, marine, salesman, but he kept feeding his vision, studying success, recording ideas, refining his voice and message. And when the strangest secret was finally released, it wasn't luck that made it succeed. It was years of silent preparation guided by unwavering vision. That's how purpose works. It doesn't give you instant results. It gives you direction and tests your persistence. The universe always asks one question before giving you what you want. Are you serious? And your consistency is your answer. So how do you build a life around purpose and vision? Start by designing your days intentionally. Your routine is the soil where your vision grows. If your habits don't align with your purpose, your growth will always feel forced. Small daily disciplines, reading, journaling, reflecting, and setting clear priorities, these are the invisible bricks of a meaningful life. Earl often said, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Notice that word, progressive. It means success isn't a finish line, it's a process. Every day you move one step closer to your purpose, you are already successful, even if the results haven't shown up yet. That's the secret big thinkers know. They don't chase instant gratification, they chase direction. And every small action taken in alignment with their vision compounds over time, creating unstoppable momentum. Imagine this. Every morning, you wake up with clarity, not stress. You know why you're getting out of bed, what your next step is, and how it connects to your higher mission. That's what living with purpose feels like. It doesn't remove struggle, it gives it meaning. Purpose transforms obstacles into lessons. Vision turns waiting into preparation, and consistency turns effort into achievement. If you're feeling lost today, if your days blur together, remember, you don't need to know your whole purpose right now. You just need to start asking the right questions and taking small, intentional steps towards growth. Earl said, don't let the fear of the time it will take to accomplish something stand in the way of you doing it. The time will pass anyway. So why not use that time to build something meaningful? 5 years from now, you'll either be grateful for the habits you started today or regret the excuses you believed. That's the power of purpose. It quietly decides the quality of your future. When you live with vision, you stop running from the past and start moving towards the future. You start living by design, not by default. And slowly, your outer world begins to match your inner clarity. Opportunities appear. People align. It's not magic. It's the law of cause and effect at work. The same principle Earl taught decades ago. We become what we think about. Think about purpose, and you'll find purpose. Think about service, and you'll find ways to serve. Think about progress, and you'll notice growth everywhere. Your purpose doesn't just change your life, it ripples outward, inspiring others to think bigger, dream clearer, and live fuller. That's the Nightingale Path, not chasing success, but becoming the kind of person success is attracted to. So build your life like a craftsman builds a masterpiece, slowly, deliberately, with patience and pride. Because the masterpiece is you, and your purpose is the brush.
Once you begin to think big, once you align with your purpose, the real question becomes, how do you live this wisdom every single day? Because knowledge alone doesn't transform your life. Daily application does. Earl Nightingale didn't just talk about success, he lived it through small, consistent disciplines that shaped his mind, his habits, and his results. He believed that fulfillment wasn't the result of chance, it was the result of design. And that design begins the moment you take responsibility for your mind. Earl said, our environment, the The world in which we live and work is a mirror of our attitudes and expectations. Meaning, the life you experience is simply a reflection of the thoughts you consistently hold. If your mind is filled with gratitude, creativity, and optimism, your world begins to mirror that back. But if your thoughts are dominated by fear, worry, or limitation, life will reflect that too. So the Nightingale way starts with mastering your mental environment. Number 1, start every morning with intention. Before the world demands your attention, take command of your own. Earl believed that how you begin your day sets the tone for everything that follows. He suggested spending the first 30 minutes each morning feeding your mind something positive, reading a book, listening to a meaningful message, or writing your goals. Because what you put into your mind first thing in the morning becomes the foundation for how you think, act, and react all day long. If you start with gratitude, you carry peace. If you start with chaos, you carry confusion. So begin your mornings with focus, gratitude, and vision, not notifications, noise, or negativity. Number 2, define a clear goal every day. Earl once said, "People with goals succeed because they know where they're going." It's not enough to have big dreams. You must translate them into daily direction. Every morning, write one clear, meaningful goal for that day, something that aligns with your larger purpose. It could be learning something new, completing an important task, or simply being kind to someone. The act of setting a daily goal trains your mind to stay intentional instead of reactive. And over time, these small goals compound into major transformation. Remember, your life doesn't change in one giant leap. It changes in small, purposeful steps repeated every day. Number 3, guard your mind from negativity. In a world overflowing with distractions and noise, Earl's advice feels more relevant than ever. Whatever you plant in your subconscious mind and nourish with repetition and emotion will one day become a reality. That means if you constantly feed your mind with negativity, gossip, fear-based news, self-doubt, your subconscious will grow those seeds. But if you feed it ideas of growth, courage, peace, and abundance, that's what will flourish instead. Be ruthless about what you let into your mind. Choose books, videos, and people that elevate your thinking. Because your mind is not a garbage bin, it's a garden. And what you plant today will grow tomorrow. Number 5, practice gratitude and reflection. At the end of each day, pause, even for 5 minutes, to reflect. Ask yourself, what did I learn today? What went well? What can I improve tomorrow? Earl taught that gratitude is the seed of abundance. When you appreciate what you already have, you attract more reasons to be grateful. Make reflection your nightly ritual. You'll sleep better, think clearer, and live with greater peace. The happiest people aren't those who have the most, but those who notice the most. Number 6, keep learning, never stop growing. Earl Nightingale was a lifelong student of success. He devoured books, listened to thinkers, questioned everything, and then applied what he learned. He believed that the moment you stop learning, you start declining. Because life doesn't stay still, it either moves forward or backward, depending on your mindset. So make learning part of your lifestyle. Read daily, listen to empowering ideas, and surround yourself with people who challenge you to rise higher. Your mind is your greatest asset. Protect it, sharpen it, and use it well.
6. Focus on service, not just success. Earl said, "Success is not the result of making money. Making money is the result of success. And success is in direct proportion to our service." That means real fulfillment doesn't come from taking, it comes from giving. Ask yourself daily, how can I add value today? How can I make someone's life a little better? It could be as simple as offering encouragement, listening with compassion, or doing your work with excellence. Because when your focus shifts from self to service, everything changes. Opportunities, relationships, even happiness. The universe rewards the person who adds value. 7. Live by the power of consistency. Earl Nightingale called consistency the magic ingredient of success. Because the truth is, it's not what you do once that shapes your future. It's what you do daily. The small disciplines, waking early, reading, planning, taking action, staying positive, may not seem impressive in the moment, but over months and years, they create a life others will call lucky. Consistency turns potential into reality. It's the bridge between dreams and results. So keep showing up, even when it's boring, even when it's slow, even when no one's watching. Because consistency, not intensity, builds greatness. 8. Surround yourself with growth-minded people. Earl often reminded his listeners, you become what you think about and who you spend time with. Your environment shapes your mindset more than you realize. If you're surrounded by negativity, doubt, and mediocrity, it's only a matter of time before it affects your thinking. But if you're surrounded by people who are ambitious, kind, and forward-focused, your potential expands. Choose your circle like your future depends on it, because it does. 9. Keep faith in the process. The Nightingale Way isn't about perfection, it's about progression. There will be days when you feel stuck, when results are slow, when motivation fades. But remember, growth is invisible before it's visible. Seeds grow underground before they ever sprout above the surface. Your work, your persistence, your faith, they're all growing something you can't see yet. So trust the process. Don't judge your progress by what you see in the moment. Judge it by the commitment you've kept, despite difficulty. 10. Live today as if it truly matters, because it does. At the heart of Earl Nightingale's philosophy was this one truth. Every day is a new chance to create the life you want. You don't have to wait for motivation, permission, or perfect timing. You just have to begin, now. Because life isn't a rehearsal. This is it. And every sunrise brings another opportunity to think better, act better, and live better. Earl used to close his broadcasts with a message that still echoes decades later. You are now, and you do become what you think about. So think big, think positively, think purposefully, and live each day as proof that your thoughts create your world.